Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Is everybody getting good audio here? Does this audio sound good? Don't want to have a issue like last time. If you notice anything weird sounding, audio, visual, whatever, let me know. I'll try to have these comments open. So, what I'm going to be doing today is hopefully adding SSR server side rendering to the Level Up store. There's a number of issues getting in the way of that. First and foremost, all of my components are currently living inside of the client directory, which is not ideal for this. It's not going to work. So I need to move everything essentially to imports. And have the app restructured. So it's going to be a little bit different. It might take me some time here. I've done server-side rendering with React Router before, but I am not going to promise that this is going to work because these things are a little annoying, kind of complex, and I haven't found it to be super turnkey, so to say. So let me close some of these tabs here. First and foremost, I'm going to be using a SSR package. This is going to be SSRWPO SSR. And this is pretty much a standard, I think, for doing this kind of thing here. So what I want to do is head down to usage, and you'll notice there's a massive amount of dependencies to add. Now, I haven't necessarily found all of these dependencies to be necessary. This might be one of those things where I add all these and remove some as needed. Let me go ahead and copy that, head to my terminal. And like I said, I have done server-side rendering before on a React site with React Router 4, but that does not mean that this is going to be smooth in any regard. That's part of the cool thing about these live codings is that I can just hack away and mess up and whatever. Yeah, so here we are, adding a whole bunch of dependencies. I'm planning on doing more Meteor tutorials, more like more structured Meteor tutorials. So they will be coming. I wanted 1.5 to come out. I wanted to be able to spend some time with 1.5 before I dove into recording it, but that is on the way here. Also, we just recorded our third episode of the Syntax podcast today. None of them are available yet, but they will be soon. So Wes Boss and I have started a podcast. You can find out more at syntax.fm. I don't believe there's a site. You can just follow us on Twitter right now at syntaxfm. Either way, keep your eyes open for that. It's going to be an all things web dev podcast, and we're both really excited about it. So far, we've recorded 3 episodes, and they have all turned out excellent. Okay, so check it out. Just installed a whole bunch of dependencies. And now I'm going to install the actual server-side routing package itself. Meteor add SSR. Okay. WPO : SSR. Now, while this is all kind of doing its thing here, I should plug in my computer because the battery's going to die. Hold on 1 second. I am not on 1080. I should be on 1080. If I'm not, it's maybe your internet connection. I need to check the dashboard. It says medium health. I'm not downgrading the streaming quality in here, so there is no intention for this not to be HD. If it is streaming not let's see. Yeah, no, it should be 1280. Can you change your stream settings itself? Quality 1040. Yeah, it looks like 1040 is the highest. Weird. I'm not telling it to be 1240. And I used the exact same settings as I used last time, so. Well, that's great. Let's see, stream options. Yes, I get that it's 480p. I'm seeing those. I'm trying to figure out why that is. Where do you see I have it scaled? On what screen here? Yeah, I see that 480 it is 480, but I don't see where that setting is set anywhere. In fact, video capture preset 1280 streaming. Yeah, hold on. I don't know why that would be. I just had this. Hold on a second. Let me stop recording. Okay. Okay, good. Let me extend this out here. There's always something. It's weird. I didn't change any settings from last time, so I have no idea why it's deciding to be a baby right now. Okay. Okay, finally done with technical. No, I don't want to close this. Okay, back to SSR. Okay, let me make sure my site is up and running. What I want to do here is I want to move everything over. Everything that is inside of the client folder needs to be test, 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 test. Yeah, I don't know. I'm wondering if this computer is just struggling through this. Um, like I said, I didn't change the settings from this time to last time. So I'm wondering if it's my network, computer, what's going on here. Yeah, it looks like it's my network. So yeah, let me bump this down. Test, 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 test. It says health is good. So let's hopefully this is good here. I actually don't have the best internet signal, to be honest. That's just how it is. So hopefully we'll make this work. I had technical issues, obviously, are no fun. So So I want to start moving stuff over. I have this whole client directory. I feel like most things in here can be moved over. I kind of want to be careful with how I'm doing this, I guess, because this is a decently large site. So first and foremost, really the main part of this SSR, if you look at this one I already have done, is we basically just have two index files. We have index file on the server. This example is a little sloppy here. I'm just using this as a thing. But really what we're doing is we're importing this create router in from the create router in from this Meteor package, this SSR package. And because of that, we're able to use it, and we don't have to do this sort of on startup thing that we're used to doing. And so, sorry about that. I'm just trying to get things situated here. Okay, so basically, instead of having that Meteor on startup that we would typically do, I wonder if I have this commented out somewhere here. No, it looks like all we really are doing are passing in an object in this create router method, and then we need to pass in a prop or a component. We need to pass in a component to this main app prop in the create router method here. So main layout in this particular case is really all it is. And then we're using their logger to let you know that the logger has started when that's all set up. This example is about as basic as it gets, and I'm hoping that I can just simply use this kind of thing in the Level Up store. So we're going to see just how rocky this gets. So I'm not promising that SSR will be working by the end of this video or anything, but I'm going to attempt to just get it up and going because, like I said, this stuff's never any fun, and I definitely know it can be a giant pain sometimes. So let's go ahead, start moving stuff over. And the idea will be to get this working without SSR with the same setup that it has. So where is my Meteor startup stuff is all within routes here. So this file is going to stay, well, no, I'll have the Meteor startup on client loading up this stuff. Like I said, this is going to be a bit of a struggle through, just like last time, which is a-okay with me. That's how I like to work. So we have our imports folder, which has a client folder, which has a bunch of stuff in it, which is just UI actions and chart. I'm going to make a new folder that's just UI for the whole user interface side of things. And I'm going to go ahead and grab everything that's in client and toss it into UI, literally everything. And I'll be maybe moving some stuff back. And obviously this is going to cause this whole thing to break. Maybe open up my console. That way we can have a ton of errors here. Hey, sorry, I swear I thought it was organized, but all my stuff's dying. Everything's running out of battery. Okay. So as you can see here, there's clearly some issues. The site has no idea what to do. It's still building. The build process takes really super long because of the streaming. So last time you may have noticed that the build process took a long time. And unfortunately, it's going to be that way again until I am able to get a new laptop, which should hopefully be sometime this year. Oh yeah, come on, it's taking a long time. Yeah, I would go Linux. I have a triple boot on my Hackintosh that does Linux. Uh, I've installed Mint on my MacBook Air. I've done a whole bunch of that stuff, but at the end of the day, there's too much software that I use for Mac right now. Although we'll see, who knows? Okay, it looks like that finally finished building. So obviously, we're not going to get anything working here because I just moved all the files and none of the paths are correct. But I'm definitely like put things up, get a bunch of errors, fix the errors kind of person. So, in our client, I do want to have some sort of a init file with a Meteor startup. I guess I can just copy this one. Let me move this one back in there into the client folder. Imports, move our init back into client. Now, let's see. On this client initializing, I guess I kind of want to, well, one, I want to tweak this a little bit. There we go. Two, I want this to actually render React on startup, but since I'm already using the SSR package, I think I can do so with just bypassing this entirely and head straight to importing our main routes file. Here I have this whole router scroll to top app sort of stuff. I'm going to ignore this startup stuff right here. I'm going to comment this out. I haven't done this kind of conversion before, like I said, so this is going to be a bit of a struggle, but I'm going to make it work. I also need to export this app because this is probably the first thing, the main thing I'm going to be using here. Export. And in my init.js for client, I can leave this. I don't know what this is. Oh, if use, okay, yeah. I'm going to leave this stuff as it is. I'm just not going to touch it simply. And I'm going to, in my init or index, whatever, let's see how much of this stuff I actually want. Right now, let's grab it all. And obviously we don't have a main layout here. Let's get rid of that. I do have as an app, so I want to import app from. Let's go imports. And I believe this is in layouts. Nope, totally wrong. Oh, it's in the routes file. Yikes. Why? Okay, that should just be its own file. Again, just like last time, this is like I said, this is one of the first React sites that I built. So while I am definitely steadily updating this code, you'll see a lot of differences if you watch the last live stream. I've since removed Tracker React completely in favor of using decorators for bringing in all of my Meteor data and stuff like that. There is still certainly some weird legacy code, like having the app component inside of this routes file for some reason. I'm seeing a lot of red here. App is defined but not used. Okay, yeah, these things are defined but not used, defined but not used, defined but not used. Okay. Cool. Cool. This theme is material design. I really like this one. And yeah, cool. Okay. Again, these live coding videos that I'm doing aren't necessarily meant to be me showing you the definitive way to do things. This is me struggling through things that I've never done or have done once before in a different context, and just stuff I need to do anyway, so might as well see how somebody works. And there's a lot of different working styles. People do a lot of things very differently. So I'm happy to hear anyone else's style, or if something is weird or whatever, shout it out. No biggies. Okay, so I see a lot of red here. That's okay, but I need to run this create router. The app needs to start up at some point too. It's like actually working somehow, and I'm not quite sure why, to be honest. I really wonder why this is working at all. Which is always good. VS Code is my main text editor. I like it because in large projects it stays super duper fast. I was using Atom a lot, and Atom bummed me out because of its performance for a long time, and then it got better, sort of. It got a little bit better, and then my project started getting bigger and it got very worse. It was just like painful slogging through using Atom. So a VS Code is a lot like Sublime Text to me in terms of speed, but in addition has some awesome Git features and stuff like that, of which you can check out in the VS Code tutorials that I have in this channel. So I just pasted in this create router where I'm setting the main app, which is the property that this server-side rendering package needs. And then I'm using app for my imports into our routes, and then it's logging router has started. Now keep in mind, this should just be client side. At least we will see if this works. So this works. I am getting some errors. Type is invalid. Forgot to likely to export a component. Register target container is not a DOM element. I don't know necessarily where these errors are coming from, but again, I wasn't necessarily anticipating this to actually work at this point. So obviously there is no server-side rendering. Like if I'm showing here, we're still just, where's our div? Either way, we're still just have this body. There's like nothing in it. We're appending our stuff to it. What I want to do is, let's go ahead and I'm going to temporarily comment out this index.html that I have in here. Just .index.html, so hopefully it doesn't find it. I'm going to make sure also that there's nothing causing this to work that I'm not expecting, as in like this startup code is commented out, so this should just straight up not be doing anything. So there's really nothing on the client side of this app telling it to work other than the server-side create router code here. Let's actually do an experiment here. Like I said, I wasn't expecting this to work at this particular moment, even client-side. Even with errors, I was expecting this to just give me a white screen. So after this actually compiles, I'm going to head over here. I'm going to comment this create router out and see if it breaks, because I'm expecting it to break. Okay, either way, it looks like it says container down. Okay, it looks like it's breaking now. I wonder if that was like a caching thing where it was just showing it because it was cached before. Okay, so yeah, I'm getting just total white screen. I'm getting a body with nothing in it. No idea why that was actually working before, or whatever. Whatever. Let's see. So basically all we have in this package is you need this client-side call and you need the server-side call. I actually don't know if you can have one without the other and have them both working. So let me go ahead and start to get this server-side one up and going, because it's like very, very super similar. I'm going to copy nearly all of this stuff to paste in this init down here. It's not a total necessity here. Like I said, this is kind of ugly the way I'm doing this right now, but we're getting it up and running, and then I'll fix it later. This is the server-side init file, which is basically just a server-side file being loaded. It's not being fired on startup or anything like that. Notice how I have Meteor on startup. There's a lot better ways that you can organize this stuff by basically having a single server init file that then loads whichever server files you would like them to from your import server folder. As you can see, I'm not doing that here. I have just a whole bunch of server files in here. It's not a great way to structure your code. It's legacy stuff. Like I said, this is one of my first React Meteor projects that I'm just now starting to update in a whole bunch of ways. How much programming experience do I have total? I don't know, quite a bit. I went to college for music. I was a music student and started doing programming music stuff. So I was creating synthesizers, I was programming video editing software and stuff like that. And that led me into web stuff, which so out of college, I worked as a whole bunch of odd jobs while I was trying to get a web dev job. So all of you people who are struggling looking for web dev work, or if you're just getting into it, know that it took me years of just like practicing and practicing and practicing, and local shop took a chance on me when I wasn't super good dev, and I had done a whole bunch of odd jobs and just grew my career from there. So it's been a while. My first web dev job was in 2011, so 6 years, but I've been building websites for since high school. So, professionally, I've had a professional job since 2011, but it takes a little while, if you want to get good at this stuff. Okay, so here, check it out. I'm in my init server file. Again, we'll see if this works. I'm bringing in the routes file from imports, which essentially just has an app component. The app component is a functional stateless component that is essentially just a switch, which has 3 of my main routes, one for the checkout, one for the receipts, and one for the everything else. And we're going to see if this continues to work, or actually starts to work. If I get this error again, I'm going to Google it. I have no idea. Or I'll just end the issue queue already. The name of the theme is it's the material theme. It's something material purple something. Color theme? Color theme is material theme pale night. If you look for it under material theme, it's one of the options that exists there. I'm also on the insiders build of VS Code, which isn't really that different, but it sees updates all the time. So yeah, that's that. And I'm still waiting on a big old loading right over here, even though this is done compiling. We will see what that means. I should actually call these live struggling through coding rather than live coding, because I'm not really picking topics here that I know super well. So this will give me a chance again to mention our podcast that Wes Boss and I are recording, Syntax. Head out to Twitter, look at the Syntax FM. We just recorded our 3rd and 2nd episode today. They're going to be out very soon. A lot of great web dev stuff, talking about React, talking about CSS preprocessors, talking about general JavaScript stuff. And we're hoping to make it fun and all the time weekly thing. So keep your eyes open for that. Doing some minor advertising here while I wait for this to load. I have no idea why this is taking so long. Compilation stuff. Oh, it is rebuilding itself. I should have checked this. Okay. Cannot find module import clients actions state actions. Now that makes a whole ton of sense. So It cannot find this on the server side because this is a client-side file. Now, I need to just move this out of this client folder. It can't find this inside of here. I have a client folder where I have an actions folder and a state actions. I'm going to just drop in these. Yeah, I'm just going to drop in these actions in here. I'm also going to drop in chart over here. I'm not using chart right now just to get it out of this client folder. Eventually, it'll need to be non-client stuff. We'll see if that finds this now. Oh, no, it's not going to find it, obviously, because the path is wrong. So let's look for any place I have actions. I don't think I'm importing this that often. So it's now just, I should look for this whole string here, find and replace it. It might only exist once. Okay. So client actions are now just actions. The only actions I really have are triggering like the main nav, triggering the login screen. Okay, so this is loading up here. We're going to see if I can actually get server-side rendering working. Again, in theory, this should be easy. According to these docs, we simply just have these two functions, one of which runs on server side, one of them runs on client side. You have the option of passing in a whole bunch of stuff like your reducers, your middleware, your that sort of stuff, the I18N, platform transformers. I'm not using any of this stuff. I'm not using Redux. I'm just using Meteor and React. So I simply need to pass it in this optional store subscription. Or not optional store subscription. I'm sorry, these main app. I read the wrong thing. Either way, this package is pretty darn dope. It's deep. There's a lot of stuff to it. Does everything you need it to do, but also at the same time has proven to be very simple to me in the past, but it was a simple project. This is a less simple project. If I had to guess, once this even gets up and running, I'm going to be seeing server errors about particular packages that don't work on server side, or maybe I'm referencing the DOM window or something like that. So we'll see it. We'll see what happens here. Again, apologize for the slow build times. This streaming is just killing this computer. So while we're waiting for this to actually start up, does anyone have any questions, comments for me, or anything like that I can answer while I'm just sitting here? Cannot find import state client actions. You know, I don't know why you can't find that because I changed the path. So I am using a Shure KSM 32. I want to look at this thing, maybe let you know. It's the Shure KSM. It's one of the mics they use, an NPR good buddy of mine who's an audio engineer picked it out for me. Man, why can't you find this import client actions, state actions? There's this path should not be loaded anywhere. I'm not telling this to load anywhere. Okay, now I'm getting a different error. That's good. Cannot read property then of undefined in init on server of line 19. So init server. The website is going to be syntax.fm, but we haven't made it yet. So right now the best course of action would just be to follow us on Twitter at syntaxfm. it has a yellow and black logo that just says syntax. I think Wes and I both tweeted out about it if you head to Twitter. So it says it's not finding the then of undefined. So fun here. Let's get rid of some of this stuff. I'm going to get rid of adding my account email template stuff. Just going to save this. Good time to confirm that app is in path here. Let's see. So head back, imports. Yeah, that should be fine. My biggest project so far has been a web app called Atcha. It's not done, but it's pretty massive. Getatcha.com. You can head there and mess around with it if you want. Like I said, not done, but definitely a massive project. Sorry, this is still loading. That's why I'm... endlessly loading. So this project, getatcha.com, is also running very slowly because everything is running slowly. But it's a... essentially, you could think of it as like a creative services booking application where instead of just looking for people to book, you are also able to share like hair inspiration. It's sort of like Instagram meets booking. It's cool little app, but it's absolutely massive. There's chats, there's notifications, there's account stuff, there's just more social media kind of stuff than you can possibly imagine in here. And I was the solo dev on it. The thing is crazy. Like I said, still in development. So if you find stuff that's not working, that's probably accurate. Okay, I'm still getting this cannot read property then of undefined. Server init line 19. Let's figure out why the heck that could be. Cannot read property then of, and it's referring to this create router right here. Obviously, these changes I'm making are not going to change this. They're just presentational. I'm using, this is Meteor. This is JavaScript. I don't need React in this import. I don't need router DOM in this import. I really just need this create router and logger. I wonder if that helps at all. God, these build times are kind of killing my vibe here. This would be a good time to plug my courses so that I can afford to buy a new laptop. Head over to store.leveluptutorials.com. You check out, I have a bunch of new series up for sale there, and that would help me out have a smoother live stream because this thing is struggling. Cannot read property then. Line 15, yeah. Well, why cannot you read, why, it's saying this is undefined, and it doesn't make any sense here. Create routers defined. App is defined. Main app is being set to app. This is the exact same setup I have going over here that's working. See, actually, there might... no. Oh. Yeah, okay, that's a little small difference here. Check this out. This is interesting. So in the client, this isn't a working example I have, by the way. This is a much simpler site if you're just watching now. In the client-side version, I'm using a promise to get when the logger has started. In the server-side version of this code, I wasn't. I'm not quite sure why I'm not. Let's see if that's how their docs are as well. Their docs have a .then, and their server-side, they don't. Okay, so maybe just the client side is returning a promise here. I had no idea. That makes sense. I thought that actually kind of bugs me because it's like extremely similar, right? It seems like if you're going to keep it similar, I don't know. Whatever. Whatever. If it works, it works. We'll see if this works. Oh, yeah. That's a lot of errors. Cool. Okay, so the good thing is we have a bunch of different errors now. Meteor.subscribe is not a function and imports containers current user. Yeah, it's letting us know that .subscribe is not a function on the server side of things. SSR is server-side rendering, so that way that when we open this web page up in view source, you actually get the HTML output instead of blankness. It also allows for better caching and better load times. Server-side rendering can speed up your loading pretty quickly. Okay, Meteor.subscribe is not a function on a container that's being loaded on the server side. You know, it makes me wonder, like, what is the strategy for this? And if we just Google Meteor.subscribe is not a function, I'm guessing that somebody will have an answer here as to how they approach using Meteor subscriptions on the server side. Like I said, I've done this before without like Ironrod or another one of these SSR packages. If anyone has done Meteor and React SSR server-side rendering before and have worked with Meteor data, let me know how you got around the subscriptions being loaded on the server side. Yeah, let's see this. So I would have to assume that, let's see, store subscription object containing your application's reducers. The problem is I'm not using Redux here. I'm not using reducers. And because of that, I believe their demo version or their demo project might not be super applicable here. Let's see. Import store. Yeah. Let's see. Let's think about this for a second. How are you getting... Yeah, coding is a significant amount of Googling. So, like, yeah, the issue here that we're running into is it's looking for Meteor.subscribe on the server side of things, and it's saying that subscribe is not a function on the server side. So if anyone, like I said, has any ideas about how we get around this, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to keep searching around here. So thinking out loud as well. Let's do subscribe. Let's see if they have anything. Okay, let me think about this. Meteor.subscribe is not a function. Current user. I wonder if it's just hitting current user because that's the very first decorator it's hitting. Let's see. It loads up my app. It loads up app. App is declared in routes. Routes is hitting this main layout one. And main layout, I believe, looks for current user. I can't air flare. I would really like to air flare, by the way. Whoever said, can you air flare? I actually, I throw really terrible air flares in my backyard all the time. So this is funny. It's not, where is it actually even loading up this? It might just be in header. In header, let's see. Yeah, with current user, so it's hitting this container current user, which is located in the current directory, containers, yeah, current user. It's not able to find current user dot subscribe on the server side. I swear, how did people solve this before? I used flow router SSR and I didn't have to do any of this, so that's where I'm kind of tripping up. I'm checking on to see how flow router. Is it necessary to import Meteor? Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those consistency things, right? If you want to, if you want to have like consistency with your imports, then yeah, you want to import it here. But if I delete this line, will this application still work? You betcha, it will still work. So it's one of those things. It's like, well, do you want to have that extra bit of typing and be consistent, or do you I don't know. So you'll see some files that certainly do not have Meteor being imported, and I guess inconsistency is consistent. It's consistently inconsistent. Yeah, live coding is tough. You're trying to think. You're trying to think all the time. Like I said, I'm trying not to pick topics of stuff that I'm like super good at or have done before, because I mean, what's the fun in that? I should just be doing a actual recorded tutorial in that case. Let's see how SSR for Flow Router handles subscriptions. Let's see. It's important to note that in order to simulate the client state on the server, available collection that you subscribe to. So this actually leads me to what could be an issue here, because Flow Router SSR is handling the subscriptions for us, but this is not handling our subscriptions for us in any way that I can necessarily tell. Their example uses Redux, so that's what's causing the rift here, is that there's, let's see if I can just simply find someone else using this without Redux, that might actually... I believe that you need the brackets when you're importing Meteor here. This is how you import any sort of Meteor package. It's not a default from Meteor hyphen or slash Meteor, just like we're importing with data here. As far as I know, Meteor is not the default export. Could be. This is just how I've always seen it, and I haven't ever tried it without it, the brackets, right? Because I just thought it was a... I mean, we could try that. Once this gets working, I can just delete the brackets and see if there is a default export for Meteor, but I don't know if there is. Okay, back to this SSR. Let's go ahead and without Redux, let's go. I don't know if Meteor is the next big thing. It's certainly a thing I really like. And I think if people use it, they can see why people like it. It takes care of a lot of simple things for you. And I've heard a lot of good things about Next.js. Next is kind of similar in some ways. It takes care of like the build process for you. It just takes care of routing, that sort of thing. Creating GitHub. Hard time getting this. This is great. So let's see though. Let's see. Rewind. I'm not getting any sort of errors, obviously. I don't even know. This style components issue is obviously not something that's going to be what I'm looking for. I'm hoping to find some other examples of this library in action. Be sweet if there was like a listing where you could see like open source projects that are using this particular Meteor package. So the brackets on an import and an export are really just to denote whether it's a default export or not. If you'll look at something like this main nav, if I scroll down here, you can see I'm exporting default main nav. And then when you're importing this, you do not have to use the brackets. However, if this was simply just export bracket main nav, then you would when you're importing. The reason why you would do that is if you were exporting more than one thing from a particular file, you would not use the default export. If you have one thing that you're exporting, use the default export because it's nice. Yeah, I don't know if necessarily Meteor missed the mark. It's still really super good, right? And it keeps getting better. Like version 1.5 for Meteor has all these great dynamic importing and code splitting stuff to reduce bundle size. It's a really great platform that continues to improve. I think people are always wanting to jump on the next big thing, but like to me, Meteor is still super duper viable to build a platform on. Really, the only problem with it is that you're stuck with MongoDB. And to be honest, I haven't had any projects where I've like not needed MongoDB. MongoDB's been absolutely fine for me. So, but I can see that being a reason why people would be turned off of Meteor. But if I'm going to be building this or maybe like an Express stack app, I would just fire up Meteor. If I'm using Mongo, I'm using Meteor. That's pretty much just the way it is. And you know what? Like some of this stuff I could avoid, right? I don't have to subscribe to this data, but I don't want to kill my subscriptions because like in this current user with data where I'm getting my data, I could simply just be pulling this data directly from the database with the Meteor method or something like that, then I wouldn't have all these issues with it not being able to find subscribe on the server side. What about no-SSR? No-SSR package for React. I should have known that typing in no-SSR was not, well, it actually did. Okay. Let's see if this works. The users collection is the users collection is created server side, or it's actually not server side. It's both right now. All of them are both. All the collections are both. So that shouldn't be an issue of that. There's this great package here that I used before with FlowRouter that is by Aeronauta, which allows you to use React component for non-SSR friendly components. The only thing I don't know is if this is FlowRouter specific. And there's a chance that this is like FlowRouter specific, or let's check out the source here. Let's see what this package actually does, because I've used this before, but I've never dove into it. So really what we're just simply doing here, children on SSR, default SSR can render the state. So it looks like if it can't be server-side rendering, it's rendering a span, but it's determining that via a prop, which is can render in the state. Now, I have a feeling like this is going to be FlowRouter only, but we will see. Well, it doesn't say FlowRouter. I don't know. Let's try this out. Let's try. If this gets rid of this error, then this could help me out here, at least temporarily, until I can figure out what's going on with subscriptions. And that way we can at least get server-side rendering working in some regard, and that this whole thing won't be a total waste of time. So let's come in here. I'm going to add this package, yarn add React no-SSR. Like I said, this is essentially just a container wrapper component that allows you to say, hey, you, don't render this server-side, which could potentially save us some stuff here with this meteor.subscribe is not a function. If it obviously isn't looking for meteor.subscribe, it won't be able to find it as not a function. So header is the one thing where I'm subscribing. I'm calling header in main layout. Let's import this. We're going to see if this works with a non-FlowRouter setup here. The code example, or the code itself, didn't lead me to believe it would. But the repo literally says nothing about SSR or FlowRouter only, so we're going to see. This is still, it's taking a long time to download, so let's give it a second here. I'll answer some questions while this is all getting downloaded, set up, whatever. Yeah, you know, I like VS Code a lot more. Atom, as much as I love aspects of Atom, it is slow, and VS Code is fast. In particular, doing a find and replace over, you know, a giant project. If you're doing a find and replace or a find in files, is one of the areas where VS Code really, really shines, because not only is the interface way better, but it's super duper fast. Where that was a huge concern of mine with the Atom. Okay. So what we're not seeing is a giant wall of pink errors, which is a cool thing. Let's refresh this localhost page. Okay, so we're now getting another one of these errors, but the great news about this is it's now saying that products list is meteor.subscribed is not a function, which is great for us because that means this no-SSR is certainly working, which means that I can incrementally add SSR. So as I figure out what to do with these subscriptions and how to do that, I can then add SSR briefly to those pages, whatever. And if I really, really wanted to, I could come in here and wrap this switch in a no-SSR, and that will like instantly fix everything. The only thing it's not going to do is have a lot of the key stuff that we actually want displayed server-side rendered. So instead of that, let's dive into home here. Let's wrap products list in this no-SSR, and let's continue to move. I would not say Vim is greater than these things. There's like nothing that makes me less productive than Vim. It's one of those things that like I think I don't know why people like it so much. It's great, but like it's really not intuitive at all. It takes a long time to get good at. I don't want an application that I have to learn like the piano or something. I want an application that I can just fire up and start using. I prefer having an interface. I prefer being able to click around. Yeah, Vim just doesn't do it for me. I know that's sacrilege, but like, I not a fan. Not a fan of Vim or Emacs or any of those. But I mean, the whole thing is you can become a hotkey junkie in VS Code, and you can become a hotkey junkie in any of these platforms, and not have to go through this intense period of growing pains where you're trying to figure out how to actually use the thing. Just personal opinions, no biggie. I'm gonna definitely use whatever makes you most productive kind of person, and Vim does not make me more productive, so I don't use it. But more power to you if you do. Okay, so I just added no SSR tags to this cart wrapper, and we're gonna see right now I'm basically going down the line. I'm just trying to get this home page server-side rendering, so I have something to show at the end of this live stream. But really what we're hitting is not knowing how to work with Meteor data and Meteor subscriptions on the server side of things here. So I'm pulling in all of my data using decorators, and I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I never had issues with these kind of things before. Okay, now this is actually a fun one. Meteor code must always run in a fiber. Try wrapping callbacks, non-Meteor libraries. The famous fiber error here. You've probably gotten this error if you tried to do anything in Meteor. It looks like it has some issue with action menu. The action menu is being called right here. Now, the action menu is pretty simple. The action menu is what's shown on mobile on the Level Up site. I guess I am using a decorator to grab this user, but I'm wondering if the issue overall here with this data stuff is that I am using these decorators. It could very well be. I'm not quite sure, to be honest. It says my favorite way to get Meteor data is that this with data passes in used whatever you're giving this as a prop. Yeah, I know some people don't like decorators, but I really like decorators for a lot of reasons. All right, let's scroll down here. I'm right now, like I said, I'm wrapping all this stuff in no-SSR, which is like defeating the entire purpose of doing server-side rendering in the first place, right? Like, why would you do server-side rendering if you're not actually getting server-side rendering? Well, like I said, I want to have something to show here, so I want to get this at least working in some regard with server-side rendering, and then I can go through and fix each of these individually off camera, maybe, and give maybe like a talk about why it wasn't working, how to fix it sort of thing. But live coding, all this stuff sort of tough, right? To think about and do at the same time, talk. I also have done a lot of talking today. Like I said, we recorded 2 episodes of our podcast. So I've been talking all day. For the person wondering, what I'm doing, I'm adding server-side rendering to the level up store. Now, I've done so using a package SSR WPO /SSR. Whoa, Inception. Okay. Session is now not defined on cart overlay. So once again, man, I'm just adding in all this stuff here. I'm telling all this stuff not to server side. This cart overlay, to be honest though, like doesn't need to be server side rendered anyways. It doesn't even show up typically. But I'm using a Meteor session variable to have it be on or off. Yeah, I need definitely need refresh. I have a giant boot that I drink from. I wonder if that will make an appearance at some point. It's a DOS boot. It's like this giant 2-liter glass boot that I drink water out of. I've been chugging boots all day. Okay, admin toolbar. I'm guessing admin toolbar is going to complain too, but we'll see. Pretty sure I'm checking here. Yeah, with current user. So my prediction, I'm going to get some complaints about the next thing on the list. By the end of this, I swear there's going to be like 2 things that are server-side rendered, but I'm still going to declare a victory. So this is how you learn how to develop stuff and how you have fun with it, right? My favorite things about this stuff is problem solving. So you have the ability to just come in here and fix a whole bunch of problems. And in that process, sometimes that process is more valuable than just simply knowing what to do all of the time, right? Knowing how to scramble and fix things and then, figure out what wasn't working and why it wasn't working later. Okay. No SSR. Let's move this down here. Yeah, the best way to learn is to make tons and tons of mistakes. Absolutely. And in my opinion, it's fun to make a ton of mistakes on projects that are fun rather than projects that are like super important. So carve yourself out a fun project that is like the stakes aren't so high, because it's last thing that is fun to do is learn while you have deadlines and people really demanding your work be done. So make something fun. Like these sites, these Level Up Store, the Level Up Tuts site. I have a few other sites, my personal site. I use these things as just playgrounds to learn new techniques and to mess around and learn new packages. And for instance, nothing's ever easy as they kind of claim it is, right? So this project shows like a 2-liner of code to get this thing working. And obviously, as we're all seeing here, it's not so simple because we have to think about a lot of other stuff. Yeah, so the errors are basically that we're not having access to subscriptions on the server side. Now, in other SSR packages, such as FlowRouter SSR, it handles that for you, but there's no examples or docs in this one that shows you how to do that. So check it out. Our site's up and running, and if I do Command Shift or Option Command U, check it out. Yeah. Okay. So if we head here, you can see the site loaded. It took a long time. It's not because it's supposed to be a long time. It's because this computer is struggling while I'm streaming videos here. But if we head to the source, this is what our code looks like. We're no longer a whole bunch of imports and a whole bunch of blah, blah, blahs, a whole bunch of blank stuff. We're actually getting real HTML. And although it's minified, so it's hard to see here, I have some very real, even my meta tags are all rendered in here. Here's a div with the billboard with our H2 and our title, next level tutorials. So just like that, I have the homepage being server-side rendered. Now, the one thing you'll notice is that we told the header not to server-side render. We told the featured products not to server-side render. We told the cart overlay not to server-side render, but they're all still here. They're all still here because, check this out, when I refresh, you're going to see a flash of stuff that's not working. So this part, a pop here is white right now, not working, not server-side rendering, but it's loaded all this other stuff so quickly you can see the immediate benefits of server-side rendering. Obviously, this is like a really drawn-out example because this is taking so long to load locally here. But you can see that this stuff that was server-side rendering loaded up almost instantly because of caching. And now that it's loading up everything else, it's loading up the client-side stuff. The products come in, the header comes in, and we're all good. Now, on this header, there's some things that could be changed. I'm using that decorator to bring in the, let's pull this up. I'm bringing in some things like the current user, right? So on the header, I'm bringing up the with current user, and I have a decorator to grab a session variable for the nav toggle. These two things don't have to be in the header. You could scope these down. For instance, I don't even need this session header open on desktop at all. So, really, I could put that on the menu in the main nav, whatever. And likewise, with current data, with current user, the only place I'm using the current user is to check permissions, right? To say, hey, if the user is a pro, then don't show them that pro link. Now, that's not even that necessary. So that link itself should be a component, and that decorator can contain that component itself. So, boom, just like that, it worked. And you'll notice now, because we're all running client-side, right, we change pages, the page opens up fine. But if I were to refresh this, we're going to get a whole host of subscription errors again. Yeah, there we go. Meteor subscribe is not a function for same reasons as before. So in between this video and the next time I see you, just like in between last time and this time when I was struggling to get React Router 4 all going, I'll be fixing these errors and I'll be reporting back. One of the big things, this is now that we have server-side rendering working in some regard, is that I was trying to figure out how to have this cart, if you remember, triggered by a route. And then we were doing it basically by parsing a route, and it worked, but it wasn't like perfect. The solution is that this is React. This cart is an individual component. I just set up another route, which is simply just /checkout. If you come to the site at /checkout, you're hitting the cart. But notice I also have this cart right here flying in as an overlay. And these are the exact same component. One's just in an overlay that flies in, controlled by a session variable. The other one has its own page, same component. Beauty of React, you just reuse that stuff by dropping it in like Lego pieces. Cool. Okay, so we got server-side rendering up and running, which is great news because at some point in this talk, I did not think that was actually going to work. So now, next up for me is to figure out the subscription piece, start wrapping other things, maybe making the decorators that I have a little less specific so I can render the header and everything ahead of time. But other than that, it's just going to be enhancements from here on out. To go over the code, I simply just used this package and installed everything that they said to have here, right? This is SSR WPO /SSR, right? And then we have all of our files, all of our components are not in a client or a server folder, but are just in imports. Now you should probably put these a little bit more organized, and like I made this UI folder and then I never put anything in there. So chances are I'll be putting my UI components in the UI folder. I'll have my actions outside of it. I'll have my containers outside of it. But as you can see here, all of your components are able to be rendered to client or server side. On the client side init code, I don't need this startup stuff, whatever, but I am using this create router, passing an app, okay? And then on the server side code, I'm doing nearly the exact same thing without the promise, and I say create router, main app, okay, logger info. So this is cruising. I love it. It's working. I'm going to continue to improve this. In the next live coding episode, we're going to actually continue working on this site because, I don't want to bore you while getting everything up and going, just repeating stuff that we did. So I'm going to get this finished with the server-side rendering, and then next week sometime, we're going to dive into some Meteor 1.5 features, such as conditional module loading with React, so we can take this bundle size down. considerably because right now the bundle includes a whole bunch of admin pages and admin components that the user is never ever going to see. So I can use conditional module loading to break the admin section into its own stuff, then we're going to be able to just drop the file size down. We're also going to be talking about the visualizer tool that came out with Meteor 1.5, and we're going to be showing you how you import things can reduce the file size and where we can go to reduce the bundle file size overall. So conditional loading file size is going to be the focus of the next one. Hopefully we'll have no technical issues getting started, considering I first had audio technical issues in the first one, then video technical issues in this one, no technical issues in the third one. I just can't imagine that will happen again and again. And yes, I will mix up the projects. I will mix up lots of projects because I have some really fun stuff that I'm working on. I'll show it off, and I built an app for breakdancers to use their moves and a whole bunch of tools and stuff. It's an app I'm actively working on, which I have some cool stuff I want to show off in that. Okay, let me answer some questions. What extensions am I using? Yeah, I'm using a lot of extensions. Let's see. Let me show my extension. Showed installed into extensions here. For hosting the Level Up Tuts sites, I'm hosting them on DigitalOcean. I'm using MupX to deploy them, and I don't love it. I host a lot of other stuff on Heroku with Meteor, and to be honest, it's a dream. The only thing that's stopping me from hosting everything there is pricing, because I already have servers at DigitalOcean. Someday I will just move it all over to Heroku, which is nice because they have a lot of nice features, and I kind of hate running my own server all the time. So my packages here, I have some things like Align, a whole bunch of themes. I have Babel, I have Beautify, Can I Use, Color Highlighter, Debugger for Chrome, ESLint. Obviously, you got to have ESLint, which is, you'll probably see some of my code changing while I'm typing. Git History, there's a Git log or line history, which is super nice. Let's see if I can show that one off. We do Git. You can, is it the line history? Yeah, so view line history for a particular file. Is this what I'm looking for? There was an error. Git, for some reason it didn't like that. Let's see if one of these other one works. Git line history. Yeah, this is crashing. I'm on VS Code Insiders, so some of these might not be working. I've typically been working on a normal one. But yeah, JSX, JS snippets, stylus language, the stylus supremacy, Meteor snippets, whole bunch of fun stuff. Nothing really crazy. I don't get too crazy with it. I have a whole bunch of stylus packages. I have no idea why I have so many, because I bet they all do the same thing. And then stylelint for linting stylus, React.js code snippets. Some of the React code snippets that I like the most are getting up and running with like a new file. So let's make a new file, and you can do RCC7, which is like a React. It's not going to autocomplete that, but RCC7 is a React component. Enter. And check it out. It gives you everything where you can use the static default props declaration, static prop types declaration. This is how I like to make components right here. So yeah, that's it. Nothing fancy. Okay, in the next video, like I said, I'm going to get bundle size down. I'm going to do conditional module loading, and we're going to dive into some of these awesome new Meteor features. So check it out. Thanks so much for watching. I don't use Adobe products anymore, so I probably won't be diving into Photoshop. I just don't like them. That's not a popular opinion. I just don't like them. I use Sketch. I use an app called Figma. If you aren't familiar with Figma, check it out, Figma. It's basically for Illustrator, syncs in over the cloud and stuff like that, and for Photo editing, I use Affinity Photo. I like Affinity Photo. It's really nice. But yeah, last question. How do I use a different syntax color in JSX to highlight? You just want to make sure you have the language JavaScript React. And if your package is in JavaScript React, or if your code language is in JavaScript React, like mine is, it'll look nice. That's it. Cool. So thanks so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. I will have more free tutorials up on VS Code. I'm going to be doing some other stuff that I have planned on how to become a better JavaScript programmer, take you from like super basic to intermediate. And I'll be doing another live stream, like I said, so check it out. Also, remember, head over to store.leveluptutorials.com. I have a new series on React Native. I have a new series on Sketch. Both are brand new and super, super cool. I've been working really, really hard. And as you've seen here, my computer is struggling. So store.leveluptutorials.com. Always help it out. Next streaming will probably be next Monday again, barring changes to my schedule, but I will be tweeting and posting on Facebook prior to its start a little bit more. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.